just be cognizant of the fact that you just pulled off a live cable if you haven't disconnected the battery and turned it off, and you have an open fuel line. Probably something you should be aware of. All right, up here, these are our throttle and shift cables. We are going to replace those because they're pretty nasty. I mean, I need to figure out a length and what they are, figure out how to order them. But as of now, everything is disconnected from here, so I don't have to worry about any of that. Yeah, so the engine is essentially disconnected from the boat electrically, but like I said, still gotta get that shift cable assembly out of there. Have not done one of those, but that's okay. It looks like they have a retaining pin in there. If I can point at it real quick, like right at the tip of my finger. It looks like there's a little retaining pin on those. I just need to get those off and disconnect them and we'll be a-okay. Then from there, we'll try to lift this thing off and hopefully not screw it up. Hopefully. Alright, so what I've decided to do is we are going to cut these off. And I'm going to put a zip tie on, we'll say that one. And I'll put it here. And I'll put one here. And then we'll cut right down the middle so we know which one goes to which. And that's how we're going to do it, because these cables are absolute trash, so we're not putting them back on. And I want to get this engine off, and then I'll deal with sorting out how it works after I get it out. Everything is in neutral right now, and that is noted. So yeah, we're just gonna cheat the system here, and then we'll figure it out after. We always do. All right, so we got the engines, all the wires figured out. Shrink tube connector, we're going to put probably 8-foot cord on them, and that's going to go to an Amphenol connector, or very, very similar, so it'll be a permanent connector. That'll go on both of these engines. And then what we're going to do, because it's getting close to the winter time out here, we're in late October now, is these harnesses are going to come down and go on the floor, and right here on the floor is where we are going to build the entire center console, seats, controls, everything, almost like a driving simulator. And then from there, we can spin these engines around, hook them up. We'll be sitting right here in the chairs. We can monitor all the gauges, look at all the temperatures, look at battery power, start them, run them, throttle them, put them in gear, and even wet test them. That'll all get done right here on the floor. And then we'll be sitting pretty good at that point, because the sub boxes that we're going to build for the 415s are going to be underneath the seats. So that will essentially be a structural component, and we'll put the buckets on the sub boxes. The sub boxes have to be 17 to 18 inches tall, and that's why we're going to go with bucket seats, so that I can sit them flat on it. I don't want to be sitting, you know, head way up here while I'm sitting on the boat, to the point where it's like I'm on a mid tower. Yeah, this came out pretty good though. I mean, it's pretty much basic like a car. And you got starter, ignition, ground, positive, switch, accessory, or no accessory, tack, trim up and down. Yeah, actually really easy. Got the thing on the internet after about 5 minutes of searching, then came back in with a probe and checked it, and everything checked out good. And these are well protected too. If you have anything like this, these are great, because I definitely blew one of the main power fuses. But other than that, that's what we got going on. Alrighty, harnesses are done. We got positive and negative and 4-gauge copper. Shrink tubed everything out. For starter solenoid, there's your positive. There's the negative. Everything's tied in on both engines, so we're golden. And here's the engine harness finally done up. These worked out awesome. Really, really nice connectors. If you go online and you look at JR Ready, that is who makes these things, and they snap right in place. Like, they are strong. You don't have to get heavy name brand stuff. You got, there you go. When I bought it, it was 120 bucks. I mean, it comes with literally everything, but that's what we decided to go with. And it's working out really well. So that's going to come in handy. It's all on 14 gauge wire. Yeah. Next up is going to be the good stuff. It's going to be we're not going to do the wiring in this video for the boat, because it's going to be the boat hull is going to be on a harness. The engine is going to have a harness. That engine is going to have a harness. And then the stereo system is going to have a harness, and the center console is going to have a harness. So we're going to run out of these connectors pretty quick, but it'll be worth it. So once we actually get started on those, we'll have separate videos for the center console and everything else that goes along with it. But I think we'll be sitting pretty good at this point. I mean, these things turned out awesome. Super happy. But next video is going to be these getting on a tray. We're going to build the aluminum tray for these, and then it's going to go across the whole back end, full width, and it's going to be a tray that's going to go here. It's going to be a drawer slide, a drawer slide, drawer slide, and a drawer slide. So I can grab these and pull these out, fill them up, push them back in, and then down on the other side is going to be the battery tray, 3 AGMs. That's going to be on a drawer slide, pull it out, put it back in if we need to. And we're going to order, you know, power pole plugs. It's not going to be these, but, you know, essentially something that I can disconnect the battery from these bigger cables here. And then the rest will go to a bus bar. But the next thing we're going to do is we got 4 Rockford Fosgate amps, 4 15-inch subs, and we have 8 8-inch element ready Fosgates. I believe they're PM212s. So those are going to go on an amp rack as well, and those are going to be air cooled because we're going to put fans on them, so powered cooling. And that's how that's going to work. Then when we get ready to do the shifter assembly, which is going to be a 3-position, what do you call it? 3-position shifter, you know. You'll be in the middle and neutral, and then reverse, middle, forward. And then we're going to have a pedal that'll run the throttle. Throttle is going to be pretty simple in my opinion. You can't even see it, it's too dark. Throttle is going to be pretty easy. So I have pedals and shifters, and hopefully the tachometer works. We'll figure all that out when we go to run these engines right off the fly, and we're manually running them. Alright, hopefully all goes good. Alright, so got the harnesses all set up now. We are going to wrap this tube up somewhere inside the base of the engine, or in the base of the hull. We got everything shrink tubed and bound together. That'll go on the tube through the floor, and then that will go all the way out to where the steering is and the center console. I've not built any part of the center console, and that's why there's nothing there. But I want to get this part, you know, done before I actually get to that point. So everything's in there, everything confirmed works. Temperature assemblies, trim up and down, most of the buttons, everything should be fairly fine. That's just a test cable for positive and negative, and to get the trim up and down on it. We'll have 4 gauge that'll come out of there, and that'll be what goes to the batteries, which we got 3 of those. So far it's looking pretty good. we are getting Deutsch, however you say that name, connectors. And those connectors are what's going to do these cables. So we're going to have 12 pin over here and a 12 pin over there with a 13 amp capability rating. Anyway, these are all 14 gauge wires and they are oil and sunlight resistant. So I think we'll be sitting pretty good. We'll get tachometer, the temperature sensor, trim up and down, tilt, then the basics, you know, positive ground ignition, start solenoid, kill switch, all of that will be on these cables. It should work out pretty good. And I got the multi-kit for the Deutsch connectors, so that should be nice because this will run all the way up. We'll have 2 different systems up here. And what I'll do is I'll build a harness that'll be just for the dashboard itself. So if anything's got to come out of the dash, it can unplug. It won't be bolted or strapped to the device in which it sends signal to or gets signal from. So when I winterize next season, all I gotta do is unplug these, and essentially I'll be able to clean out the entire boat and check the whole system, because when the motors come off, so will the harnesses. And that'll be nice, and that's why I'm putting these tubes in here, because I can just pull it through tubes, power wash it out, and everything will drain like it should. So, honestly, I think it'll work out pretty good. Alright, so pretty much this is how the harness is going to stay from here on out. Got our positive and our negative primaries in there. Negative just goes to the starter chassis, and positive on the solenoid. I have not checked it yet. I'm assuming that it charges through that same point as well. I don't know what the amp rating output of all this stuff is, so it could be a little bit, I don't know, low, I guess. But I'm hoping for 3 AGM batteries, this thing actually holds up pretty good and keeps it powered. I'll be running 4 amps. It's going to be R2 1000.1 on 215s and an R2 500 by 4 on 8 8-inch speakers from Fosgate. So I'm hoping these got enough in them to, you know, do the job. I don't want to have to put a portable generator on there or be throttling the system for something like that. Another thing that's being done is we got the pipe out there. I think I already went over that. Everything's labeled, pipes there. That's going to go on the stringer edge. We got the oil tanks out. I have no idea what this thing is. I know that these are either on a positive or negative pressure boundary. I just don't know what that is yet. I know that these hook to the engines that these supply. I don't know if they run hot or ground status, or if that's a sensor. I would figure if there's a pump in there, it wouldn't have a primer bulb. I don't know. Maybe it's a pickup tube. Still no clue. We did get them all nice and cleaned up though. Nothing. So at least we got that figured out. These were really crappy looking tops. I mean, it was a cap and somebody cut it. It's not even like, I don't know what's going on here. I know it's not factory because you wouldn't screw through the actual sealing ring. I think it's just a cap. But they put these on there, and then these run up the transom to the upper rail, and that's how you fill them. You don't fill them from this actual point. So I assume these are an add-on from something else, but I'd be hard-pressed to believe that Wellcraft would make them that shitty, I guess. But yeah, that's where we're at. We're going to get into testing what these things are for when, I don't know, when we get the engines running. So we're waiting on key barrels. This should be here soon. I have fiberglass chop strand. We already got 1708, whole roll of it right there. And we already got aluminum. So we're going to weld out a tray for these things. And we're going to cut the back because, I mean, the back had the door, the center door, and then the right door. And then both of these were in that left door. What we're going to try to do is cut that whole thing out so it's all just one door. And these are going to go on toolbox drawer slides on both sides. This will get a welded frame around it. It'll get a strap over and a strap over. And then what these will do is they'll sit inside that doorway. They'll pull out toward the deck. And that's how I'll be able to fill these up. These look like generic thread. It's like gas can thread or something in there. But if we can get caps for these, I'm not going to put fill necks on there anymore. These are going to get filled at the container as is. So, yeah. So we'll start the fabrication section next for these things to have a slide out tray.